Welcome to the Playful Life Podcast. I'm your host, Crystal. Growing up, I struggled with my weight, self-confidence, and body image, and like many in my teens, I developed an eating disorder. I battled codependent behavior, and it all affected my mental health. As the years went by, I learned and grew in healing, and I found serenity, really in empowering others to let go of their pasts and to embrace their own leadership in their health and well-being. Now it is my mission as a coach, author, speaker, and podcast host to inspire and empower you to live your best, most playful life. On this podcast, you will hear from our guests about their personal struggles and breakthroughs in their health, careers, and relationships. You'll also receive tips, knowledge, and inspiration to tackle your own health goals and start living the dreams on your heart. Ready? Let's play. Joining me on the podcast today is Jennifer Garrison. Not only was Jennifer Mrs. Fort Wayne, Indiana 2021, but she is the founder of Empowerment Through Education, which brings scholarship money to underprivileged young adults that are looking to further their education after high school. Jennifer has such a unique story of overcoming the odds and going for what she wanted, becoming a nurse, having a great career, a beautiful family and marriage, and also carrying that message to others, being such a great example for other women wanting the same for themselves. On her journey as a pageant participant, she gained so much knowledge about stepping outside of her comfort zone and trying something different, which inspired her book, Basketball Player Penelope and Her Pageant Journey. I really related to Penelope in the story, and I just love that topic of really stepping outside of your comfort zone, trying something new, and not caring if you fail, but just following your heart and knowing that you're doing the right thing for yourself. There's so much joy and so many rewards at the other end of your comfort zone. So go ahead and just really lean in and enjoy this conversation with Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello.
It's so wonderful to see you.
Yeah, so wonderful to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Of course. And I am admiring your beautiful display behind you, and we will have to talk about all of those things individually.
Okay.
And, my audience may start to see some lights, camera, action behind me, because I think I may steal some of this design from you. I love it.
Steal away. It's so much fun. Everyone's got to have like a selfie corner these days.
Yes, I don't know. I'm going to have to pick a corner, and my husband's just going to have to deal with it, I think.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, yeah, so I'm excited to have you on, and congratulations on competing for Mrs. Indiana here. Was that at the beginning of this month, right?
Yes, it was. Here it is.
Yeah, so Mrs. Fort Wayne. Awesome. And for my audience, they might know that I've done pageants, but I met you last year, at the end of really 2019, when we started the prep for the pageant in 2020. And what an interesting turn of events that all turned out to be.
Right? With all of a sudden COVID hit, and then it was like, what's happening?
Yeah. Our pageant ended up getting pushed back and pushed back
again in the end. Yes.
But in a way, that was all its own experience. And I feel like, I got to know you and some of the other ladies so much more just because of the time that we had, the additional time to, get ready and all that. Yeah. So I am so excited. Thank you for sending me a copy. I would have bought 10,000 of them. But it is just so darn cute. I love it. Basketball Player Penelope and Her Pageant Journey. So how interesting that the two worlds of sports and pageantry are colliding in this book. Very neat. So we're going to talk about that, and also, that is it a nonprofit or the Empowerment Through Education that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a non-for-profit. It's under the umbrella of a non-for-profit. Bring it, push it, own it.
Yes.
And I give a free scholarship to anyone in my area in need to, go in for their secondary education.
Wow. Okay. That's incredible. So we're going to talk about all of those things, but first I want to know sort of your story, Jennifer, right? The thing that is going to really grab people in and connect people to you, because I know your story a little bit, and I just feel like it's so incredible for you to share it, and such an empowering story that I just want everybody to hear it from you.
Okay, great. Well, I'm Jennifer Garrison. I am a registered nurse. I've lived in Indiana my whole life. I grew up in a low income family. Just the whole trailer court. We eventually, moved up to where we could have a house type of situation, but just always struggled with money. And so from a young age, I always just knew I was going to have to work hard to attain anything and everything I ever wanted. I just knew I had to have that drive in me. So growing up, fast forward, I wanted to go to college. I always knew that's what I wanted. But the funding wasn't there. And what people don't always understand is that even with scholarships and financial aid, there's a huge gap. They will only give you so much financial aid each year you go. And then it's expected to somehow come up with the rest. And it was a struggle each year, each semester. It was a real struggle. And books on top of that, oh my gosh. I don't know if anyone's been to college, but like one book is legit $500. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then they'll give you like $30 back when you trade it in, which is just hilarious to me. So anyway, there was a time my junior year of nursing school that I was $1,000 short. I had maxed out my credit cards. I had applied to every scholarship I could think of and every financial aid, everything. And it was down to a few days. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to have to withdraw. And that was going to be a hard pill to swallow for me. And I was lucky enough to get another $1,000 scholarship with what I needed. And I was just so thankful. And I knew at that moment I was going to pay it forward 100 times over, somewhere down the line. Okay. So, and then fast forward to now, I'm stable in my family life. I have a 9-year-old son. He's about to turn 10. His name is Michael. Amazing husband. We've been together 21 years, married 15. So, very stable in my life. And I do a lot of side volunteering work. One of them, I am co-chair of Cinderella Dress Day, which is an organization that gives free prom dresses, shoes, accessories, jewelry, all the things you need for free. Again, because I was one of those girls who always had to borrow their prom dress. So I just obviously fell in love with that. And then I found this amazing organization called Bring It, Push It, Own It. And they're a non-for-profit that helps young girls, boys, and women empower themselves, gain confidence, and just show true resilience, right? Things that I wish I would have learned and had when I was younger, but I'm just kind of coming about at this age that I am now. So I'm not telling you what age. And so when I found this organization, I was like, I think this is the perfect opportunity for me to set up the scholarship that I always wanted to. And that's when I founded the Empowerment Through Education Scholarship. And I started simply by designing t-shirts like the one I have behind me, says Love Yourself. I designed these bags that say I am strong, worthy, and enough. And, just started selling those things. And by doing that, I got enough funding to give $1,000 scholarship for a young lady who's amazing going on to her secondary education. She actually wants to be a doctor. And so, but I didn't want to limit it to just college. I want to make sure people understand that this is for anyone that needs any type of skill to gain in life. So whether it be HVAC, cosmetology school, tech school, anything, I want to empower those to give their gifts to the world, because that's what makes the world go round.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, you are just incredible. That story, and for you now to be in a career where you're also serving people, right? Because as a nurse, you just have to give so much of yourself too. So I just really honor you, and like God will just bless you for all the amazing things that you're doing. So was there always something in you that wanted to be a nurse, or what kind of led you on that path? I'm curious, since I'm sort of in the health and wellness realm, like it always interests me when people want to study health.
Well, it was interesting. I actually always wanted to be a physician, but again, I wish I would have known some of the things I know now, the confidence, resilience, that sort of thing, where people kind of discouraged me to do that. And I was like, okay, so I'm not going to do that. So I actually was going to be a psychologist, and I studied that for a while. My minor is psychology, actually. And I was like, I just don't know that I want to do quite that. And a friend of mine actually was a nursing major, and she was telling me about it. I'm like, well, that's what I want to do. I mean, I want to be a physician. I don't know why I didn't think of being a nurse. And she actually dropped out, and I kept going. And then I just kept my minor. I had done so many psych classes that I just minored in it. And yeah, that's kind of how it went. It wasn't that I always feel bad because people tend to always say they always knew they wanted to be a nurse. I knew I wanted to serve others. I just didn't know it was going to be that calling that came to me in a different way.
Yeah. Wow. That's wild. And I bet your friend felt maybe a little bit bad that she had ditched you out on you, but that's awesome that you just kept going. You're like, I don't know, I
things
found
happen
this
for a reason. They really, really do. Like you always think you got something figured out, and you're like, wait a minute, wait.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah, so God's got a different plan sometimes.
It does, sure does.
That's awesome. And well, I could tell that you have that heart to serve, and so I'm sure no matter what field you would have gone into, it would have been very service-based for you, and obviously, even the choice that you have with the love yourself. And I think mine, my tank top that I have, it says girl power or something on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I love that, it's not just, selling something that's, meaningless, but just,
exactly.
that the products themselves have a meaning, right? And when you wear them, it makes you feel empowered, it makes you feel good, and maybe puts a smile on someone else's face when they look at it, right? It's a message that other people can see when we're wearing it. So I think that's such a cool idea.
Thank you. Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was going for. I didn't just want just a plain shirt. Well, like, I'll wear it once and then toss it away. Right. I really wanted a message behind it and really truly make you feel empowered to wear it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you could have put, empowerment through education or something on the shirt, right? With like a logo, and that would have been fine. And, that would have been branding in a sense. But I think these are a little bit better in a sense, because people are like, they're conversation starters. Like people have been like, where did you get, like, oh, that's, it's a cool shirt or whatever. Where'd you get it? And I'm like, oh, my friend Jennifer sells them, blah, blah, blah. And then I tell them the whole thing, and, and, where the idea came from and how awesome you are and stuff. So it's neat. What a cool decision. And I think it's very humble for you, not to sort of put, here's what it is right on the shirt, but to do it in a little bit more subtle way. Maybe that has to do with, like we were talking, right? Your sort of your personality of being a little bit more subtle and more reserved, and so that's perhaps one of your strengths.
Maybe I'm trying, we all have a journey that we work through, and, I'm always trying to work through my journey and see, what are my strengths or my weaknesses? What can I work on a little bit more? So I encourage everyone to do that. Always take time for yourself to take in everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome message for sure. And on that note, I think that's a good segue into talking about Penelope. So I don't know like how much you knew about my struggle the last time when we competed last year, but I had broken my ankle at the sort of end of 2019. And I think, it was a lot for me to overcome, to wear high heels. And I had to go through some physical therapy and stuff, even to be able to get into some of the shoes that we had to wear. So I really related to Penelope's struggle with sort of injuring her ankle, not being able to play basketball. And that's what sort of led her into a pageant journey, which is interesting. And I don't want to give away the whole story, but so where did this idea for the book come from? And what was that? Well, let's start there. Where did the idea come from?
Well, it's funny, when I was younger, I always kind of wanted to write a book, and then it just kind of went away. Like you get on different paths in your life and you just keep going. You don't even think it. And then a common friend of ours, Alicia, she had encouraged some of her friends to write books, and gave some tips on how to do so. And I'm like, this might be something I'm supposed to do. This might be a little hint, a little touch from God to be like, okay, I think this is what you're supposed to do. And I literally went into it thinking I was going into a different story. And then, I mean, it literally just poured out of me. I was done with the story in no time. At that time, it was like during COVID and all that. I was working a lot. And so some of the times I had to push it to the back burner. But anyway, it really didn't take long, because it just literally just came out of me. And I just felt a big connection to Penelope. And I don't know. I felt that when we're younger, especially, I know I'm not going to pick on boys or anything, but I just think girls just somehow have this lack of confidence that is hard to have men understand. And again, I wish I would have known some of the things I know now. If I could go and tell my younger version of myself, like, hey, this is what you are. You are so many things. You are bound by nothing. You might have to work harder than other people. It may not be the same, easy stride, but you are capable of anything. And so that's kind of what I wanted my story with Penelope to go and say, and do things that you would not normally do. Put yourself in uncomfortable positions, because that's how you grow. You don't grow doing the same old, same old, same old. Meet new people, try new things, go outside your comfort zone. These are the things that we need to tell anyone. It doesn't matter if you're, 10 or 50, do all the things. We have one life, y'all. We have one life, and just go and do it.
Yes. Oh, amen, sister. Amen. And I mean, it's funny because, like I said, I feel like Penelope and I have a lot in common, but I mean, and of course she's a younger girl, in this process, and found her first pageant. And, but I was not. I was 33, I think, when I, competed for the first time in a pageant. And again, was something I had considered a long time ago, but never had the confidence, never thought that it was something I could do. I'm really resonating with what you're saying too, right? And so, like, gosh, if I can go back and tell my younger self, like, God, just put yourself out there, just do something, just be uncomfortable, and all those things. And, even though the pageant journey, the two that I did not turn out, or the outcome wasn't maybe exactly what I had envisioned, like, the gift that it gave me in so many other ways was just, like, incredible. I don't think I'd be doing this podcast had I not done that first pageant.
Me neither.
Right? Yeah. I just think it's so amazing, right? Because, I feel like, and this is so funny, and we'll have to tag Alicia in this podcast, but, I found her when I was prepping for that pageant, but she's been, a business coach to me, a mentor, a friend, even like a spiritual guide, in my, sort of journey with my walk with God. So it's just so funny how saying yes to one thing can really, like, boom, just open up so many amazing pathways for you. So I'm a little bit curious. I mean, we'll talk about the book maybe a little bit, but maybe this will answer some of my questions even about the book. But, like, what was your experience with pageantry? We talked a bit before we hit record that, you had competed before. Obviously, me and you competed. So what was that like for you? What inspired you to get into pageantry, and what's that been like for you?
So I started pageantry to try to get scholarship funding. I started in the Miss America system and was in the local Miss to try to, get to Miss Indiana to go to Miss America type of situation. And just really just needed scholarship. I mean, I was desperate. I was doing all the things, girl, to just try to get some money, borrowed the dresses and, just showed up in a $15 Marshall's outfit, for interview. I just did what I could. Again, never placed, never really got anything. And then I came back to the Misses years and years later, obviously. I did it actually more the first time as a bucket list. I got very ill. I have something that is very rare. I rarely tell people because I don't want the sympathy card. Okay. We all have our journeys and our past and even chronic illnesses and that sort of thing. I have what they call a small bowel dysmotility. It's kind of like a paralysis of your small bowel. So my GI tract doesn't work very well in that area. So it's a struggle to eat things. I have to eat a lot of a soft diet, liquids, that sort of thing. So I didn't know at that time, where it was going to go. They were talking about a feeding tube, that sort of thing. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to have another chance to do something like this. And so I just was like, I'm just going to do this as a bucket list type of thing. Not to say that I was going to die, but, just I wanted to just do all the things because I knew I would never compete if I had a tube like hanging. I don't know why. I guess I probably would now. I would rock it now, but then the confidence type of thing. Anyway, so after I did that, I felt great. And then like a few years later, I think it was 4 or 5 years, I decided to come back. And because I had so much fun, I mean, met amazing people I'm still friends with this day. And I was like, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do this for me and, put it out there. And then I did it again. And then I don't know what's going to happen. So I did it. I've done it 3 times as Mrs. So.
Okay. Wow. That's cool. That's because how many people would just sort of lay down and be like, oh, I guess this is my fate, or, well, yeah, that ship sailed, but you were just like
that victim card.
Yeah. You were just like, oh, well, better do it now. Like, and not worry about, tomorrow or the next year or whatever, but you're like, I feel good today. So let's go.
Do all the things you want, everyone. Do all the things.
Yes. What a great message. That is awesome. And I mean, now it's obviously years later and you're still doing amazing. And it seems like, while I'm sure it comes with its set of struggles, like it seems like you're doing good. So what an awesome blessing that is. So I think that speaks very highly of just the person that you are and your resilience, honestly. So that's awesome. And yeah, like, I don't know, maybe if it's just like the area that I'm in. So like here where I'm in Indiana, I'm very close to Chicago and it's very sort of urban, and I don't know if maybe that's why pageantry just was never like presented to me. It wasn't like, I didn't ever know friends, anybody in my class. I mean, there was like, nobody talked about pageantry. My mom had done it. Obviously, when she was younger, she competed in like her city, she won Miss East Chicago, and she was doing it for scholarship money, but I don't know if it's just like there were none around or what it never occurred to me that was, an avenue that I could have even explored for scholarship money. So I commend you for being like, what else is there? Oh, pageantry, let's do that.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if you guys had parking garages and all that, and they would have like bulletins back in the day before social media, God forbid there was a time before social media, but they would have flyers and there was a flyer, need scholarship money, compete at Miss Fort Wayne. I was like, oh, let me see that.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So what was that like for you? Like that initial first pageant, like, you said you kind of just threw some things together, borrowed a dress, went to Marshall's, like, like how was that for you? And maybe how is that different than, maybe like this last year getting ready for this one?
It was so funny. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what kind of bathing suit to get because you could wear whatever. I mean, I didn't know what butt glue was. For all those who don't know what butt glue, it's a glue you put so your bathing suit doesn't ride up, just in case. But I mean, again, it was all, I was just presenting myself as who I was, which is what you should always do. And yeah, just trying to get some scholarship money. I mean, that's all it was. It wasn't a competition to me. It really wasn't. It was just, what do I have to do to try to get some money for school so that I can pursue my dream?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Awesome. We had just talked, before we started here about that competitive element of it and how that was a part of it that just was the least in my wheelhouse and the least thing that I liked about it. Right. And I love that, Penelope, she just like, boom, threw herself into this. And she's just like, I don't know, what do I got to do? Right. And she calls, her friend helps her, friend's mom's helping her, and she's practicing and doing all this. And that was sort of like what you're saying, right? Like you were just like, I don't know, get some money for school, right? Like, what is your goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish here, right? You just presented yourself naturally. And that's what she does, right? She finds something that she really believes in and just says, I'm just doing this because I'm really passionate about this thing,
Mm-hmm.
and, just goes out there and she's herself. And I won't give the ending away for those who are going to read it, but I think it's such an awesome story. I would say, even if you have a little boy, to, tell them the story about Penelope, because there's nothing really in it that's, where a boy would be like, ew, that's girly. I mean, right. It's anybody could read this story and be, I think, very inspired and empowered by it. So, and I love these. I don't know if we could see these illustrations.
Yes.
Are just adorable. So I
did not draw those.
Is an illustrator here. Yeah. So what was that like? How did you find Daniel?
Well, there is a website that you can connect with illustrators, editors, that type of thing. And it was quite a challenge to find an illustrator that I was happy with. Everyone has a different style. And so I think that was probably the hardest part of writing this book, was finding the illustrator to see this common vision for my story to come through in a picture.
Yeah.
So I can't draw. I draw stick people. So I had to find an illustrator. It was important.
That's really cool. So did you send him the book and he just read it and picked where he thought illustration should go? Or did you sort of say...
I gave him what I was looking for, and, set every paragraphs of, what I wanted the picture to be.
Yeah.
He could pick, the colors and that sort of thing. I'm not good at that, but, I wanted this scene like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we did it.
Wow. That's really cool. What an awesome, world we live in, that...
I know, right?
That just makes it so much... I hate to use the word easier, but in some senses a little bit, right? Because now you can literally connect with anybody across the world that does this kind of work, and you can get connected with them. So this is awesome. And then did you self-publish, or what was that process for that?
I did self-publish through Amazon. So that's why I said anyone can do it. So if you want to write a book, you just go ahead and do it.
That's so true. So true. Yeah. I mean, right. Call up Jennifer, call up me. We've, done the Amazon route, and it's beautiful. You wouldn't know.
It's easy.
It really is. So, well, easy. Let's put air quotes around that.
I mean, it's obviously back in the day, you would have to find a publisher, and, they may not, publish it. And so then it just sits on a shelf type of thing. But I mean, really these days, anything is possible. I mean, it's limitless. It really is. It's limitless. We live in a limitless time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yet there's so many distractions.
Well, that is true. That I can't help you with. You have to reel it in a little bit yourself, but
Yes.
I mean, if you like start making lists and think of, okay, I want to do this, and you make the time. I work 50 hours a week some weeks, and you still have to make the time. You then, instead of watching your nighttime show, guess what? You're going to be sitting, writing, editing, that sort that type of thing. And
exactly. That's right. Yep. And it's worth it, right? It's so worth it because look at you have like this finished product to hold in your hand, and it's so awesome.
Yes.
So, so is this sort of like in line with the shirts and the bag and stuff like that this is also going towards your scholarship fund? Okay.
Yeah. So, and anyone can get it. You can get it at Amazon, of course, but if you want a signed copy, endorsed to you, I would encourage you to buy it from me at empowermentthrougheducation.net.
Okay, great. And we will link that at the bottom. And yes, she wrote this very beautiful note for me. So that just makes it so nice when you open it up. And then if it gets passed on to generations, like there's a note there from the author, and that's just always so special. So do that.
And we have all these like free libraries, at least in my area. I'm assuming you do too, like those books like at fire stations and schools. You can just slip a little copy in for someone. You never know who will come and pick this up. So
that's such a great idea. Well, maybe I'll pick up a dozen of them. And go put them around. So my husband and I have, with our nonprofit, we have a blessing box. One of them has food and toiletries in it and stuff like that. And then the one next to it has books, like a little, little library like that. So
I love that.
Yeah. What an awesome idea. Go stock them. I'm going to go stock them in there.
Yes. I love it.
That's great. So do you have any other plans for how you want to promote this, or, any kind of, what audience you'd like to speak to about it or anything like that?
I'm just taking it as a go. I've only first got the first copies to hold myself for like maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Because I think I published it, maybe it was a week before the pageant. So it's only been a few weeks. So I think it's only been a month since it's been published. So I'm just kind of taking the journey. I have a couple of boutiques that said they would, have a few copies in their store for me, and it's just amazing. Like I never would have expected this much support, and it's just phenomenal. And then for all the, the proceeds to go to the scholarship, it just makes the whole journey and process feel worth it, like all the late nights and the excitement to get that story out there. It's just amazing. So I'm overwhelmed with greatness. So
very cool. Oh, that's so great. And you should feel that, greatness, right? And just because it really is something
I just
to
say
accomplish.
Gratefulness.
Well, no, you're right.
That's what I meant.
Yes, that's what it is, and I'm so grateful that you answered God's call to do this, right? Because like you said, right, we all have the tools and we're all granted the same amount of time during the day, but what we choose to do with that time and how we choose to bless others makes all the difference, right? So it's, when people choose to do stuff like this, it really is service, to others, and sharing a story that's going to help other people is amazing. Right? It's like such a selfless thing, And so, what I've learned sort of in the last couple of months is that when you have something to share, you have to tell people about it, because if you're coming from that place of service and you want to help others, then, if you just put it under a bushel, no one's ever going to see it. Right. And just, you have to tell people that it exists and that it's out there, and you just never, like you said, you never know who's going to pick it up and read it and be really touched by it. So that's awesome.
Yep. And that's the beautiful thing about pageantry, is just putting yourself out there and learning that that's okay. I think sometimes pageants get a bad name, that all we do is just sit and do this. I mean, seriously. But it's truly about the journey and, becoming comfortable in yourself and encouraging others. Like, we have to lift each other up, because, some days you're going to have a bad day and some days you have a great day, but we have to encourage each other that you can do anything.
Yes.
So.
Yes, exactly. I love that saying that a rising tide lifts all boats, and
yes.
no room for competitiveness. It's so crazy. And like in the performing world even, right? Like going in for auditions or, singing in a band, and just that, we all need to just encourage each other in that community, right? Not, try to be cutthroat, or it's just like, again, like I feel like, pageantry and performing and sort of like the film industry, music industry gets that bad rap that, oh, it's very cutthroat or very competitive, or everybody's out to kind of backstab each other. And it's just not like that. It's just not like that. I mean, maybe some people are somewhere on the planet like that, but, for the majority of people, I think it really is about finding a community that you gel with.
Exactly. Yes. You may not feel, especially in school too, I feel like you're stuck in the same crowd, right? And you feel like you maybe don't belong, but trust me, you won't be in that school for long. And there is just endless communities that you will belong to.
Yes, that is so true. That's so true. I really have a passion for speaking with like young, adolescent girls and high school girls and stuff. And like, even when I just sort of meet them, wherever, if I'm, out, I really try to remind them of that, like if I get the sense that they're having a hard time with high school or whatever, it's like, this is just such a small part of your life and your journey. And like, there's other things, waiting for you. And I think it's really hard for us to see that, right? Even as adults, it's hard for us to see beyond our current circumstances and go, okay, there's something else. Mm-hmm.
So absolutely true.
Yeah.
Or you think you've got it really bad, and then you're like, wait a minute, this person's going through something really, really bad. And, maybe what you're going through isn't so bad. Not to discount what you're going through, but there's typically always something worse happening. So just take everything you have with a grain of salt and just keep going, keep going forward.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I even love that sort of as a sort of a metaphor for walking in high heels, right? It was like anytime I tried to move backwards in those heels, it was a disaster. So I was like, well, if I can turn myself around and just keep going forwards, I'll be okay.
Well, there you go. Just roundabout.
Right. Exactly. Find the way around and keep going forward. That was always my thing. I was like, oh man, don't backstep, because that's when everything just falls apart. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining me, Jennifer. Is there anything that I didn't touch on that you'd like to talk about or share with your organization?
I think we covered it all, and I'm just so thankful that you had me on today. And I really appreciate anyone and everyone's support, with my book. Again, if you're wanting a signed copy, just go to empowermentthrougheducation.net. Really appreciate your support.
All right, awesome. And for everybody watching or listening to this podcast, all of that information is in the show notes. So you can just hit that link and go right there. Also going to link up how you can, find Jennifer on the social channels and, follow what you're doing and all the awesome, inspiring things that you do as a mom and wife and nurse and, crusader for education for people and, just like you said, stepping out of your comfort zone. So highly, highly recommend this book. I mean, I love to read, and yes, it's, kind of made for a younger audience, but I feel like adults, will enjoy this too, of course. So there may be just a fun one to read with your kids, right? So yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, Jennifer. Beautiful as always. And just always love to see your smile. Thank you. And, perhaps we'll have to, I know you're several hours away from me, but we're close enough where we can get together for a cup of coffee sometime or lunch. So that
absolutely. I would really love that.
All right. Well, God bless you and all that you are doing. And please find Jennifer, get this book, share it, get 10,000 copies, put them all over your city.
Yes, please.
And let's start a revolution of confidence and empowerment and strength for especially young women and girls in our communities.
Awesome.
All right. Bye, Jennifer. Thanks
so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. If someone you love would benefit from this message, please, please share this podcast with them. And if you want more out of your life, not just surviving every day, but you want to truly thrive, visit me at krystalizedhealthadvisors.com or on Facebook to schedule your free dream strategy call with me today. Do not hesitate any longer. Life is short, and I want you to truly live the playful life. I will see you next time, and as always, stay playful.